directly inside that microcosm by living on campus. So as housing policy best practice NSRs, we went off into each of the residential college to examine the processes of how to determine who is eligible to live on campus, how to determine where exactly you'll be living in your residential college, whether you'll get the room you want, if there's a seniority process involved, things like that, and which college has the best housing practices, the best way to determine who is eligible and and deciding which room each person shall have. So in order to find out that information, I will pass it along so you can learn a little bit about the methods before we get down to the data.
Okay, so what we're doing is, right now the current standing of Rice's housing policy is that you're not guaranteed full rooms. But when you are guaranteed freshmen, and so that is OE coordinators are in charge of room assignments for the freshmen. This is assigned in the previous year. HCD assigned a standing number of rooms that are set apart for freshmen, and that is what the OE coordinators do with the freshman survey. They look over that and they assign who's most compatible with roommates, depending on a variety of factors such as sleeping schedule and interest. So we have a lot of diverse practices across the colleges, and the biggest issue that we found is that there's a lot of communication and cooperation in all these things. Each college is really isolated its practices. By that, we really wanted to open up a more unified, more outlook on best practices in the center. So our methods, the first thing we did is we proposed a set of questions. And with that question, we set out to assign 2 colleges per student. We would interview our own college system and then another college that we are not familiar with. And through this, our set of questions really define who's relevant in the college system and their administration. We wanted to make sure we had an expert level understanding of housing policy, so we always interview the person who was in charge, whether this be a chief justice of a college, a room assignment chair, or possibly a vice president. And through this, we compiled a nice streamlined report of all the details and all the data of the different colleges. And from this data, we proposed a set of best practices ideals. But I think the most important part of this is exactly what questions we proposed to the people who were in charge of these processes, because this dictated what type of data we collect. And Jane will carry it on.
Through the multi-interviews that we did, we sought to answer the following questions. First off, we researched about general housing statistics and information, such as the number of rooms available in each residential college. Following this, we looked for any special housing considerations for specific groups of students. For instance, these are some of the different institutions that we looked for, that we considered when examining the housing considerations. We looked at the room draw process and how it's implemented in each college, such as the people that are exempted from the room draw process. Next, we looked at the assignment process and how that is implemented, and then we looked at how both room draw and the assignment process affects the college culture. And in conclusion, we looked at any possible additional spaces that we made in each college to allow more students to live on campus.
So then, once we finished with the interviews, then we compiled all our results. And so what we found were that 75% of Rice undergrads live on campus, meaning approximately 25% or so are the ones who go OC, and they're the ones who have to commute either from home or they're studying abroad, or they just like live in surrounding apartments. And so we also found that mainly for like room assignment, there is most of that process is taken into account by chief justices and vice presidents across the various colleges. Now, the amount of housing per college varies greatly. In Sidridge College, for example, which has the lowest number of rooms, or no, the lowest number of beds, Sidridge only has 230, whereas New Merchant has 327, which is the most. So, just this wide range, we're trying to see what kind of different practices can be applicable to all of these, and how we can better the whole experience in the Rice University. So usually the room draw system we also found was based on seniority and a point system. And overall, the administration is trying to increase housing on campus. So we're trying to see if we're going to add rooms, where are they going to be added, how many people are going to get to live on campus, how is this going to affect all kinds of like different culture within colleges.
Okay, so after we compiled our data, we made a list of best practices that are already taking place in some or all part of the campus. And one practice that's taking part on all aspects of the university is the guaranteeing of housing for freshmen. I know that coming in as a freshman, I was definitely not ready to live on campus or live off campus. So it was very good of the university to provide me with this housing opportunity as like a segue between living at home and living independently. And I can say that for pretty much all freshmen who are moving in. And also, in some colleges, they make the room eligibility jack and the room draw process fun. For example, I know that in Sid Richardson College, they take the whole college and make a field trip to Ben & Jerry's, and everyone gets like this cup of ice cream, and then at the bottom of the cup, there's like numbers, and based on the number, it tells you the priority of your room draw process. So that even if you probably don't get the room that you want and you want to cry about it, it's okay because you get ice cream. Eat your troubles away or whatever. And additionally, sophomores have priority over juniors for eligibility for many of the colleges. For example, I'm from Martell College, and at Martell, at Martell, we have this reverse seniority process for the eligibility jack, which means that the longer that you have continuously lived on campus, the more difficult it is, or the less the probability of you living on campus the following year. So freshmen guarantee, sophomores a little harder to get in, and then junior, senior. Unless if you're a senior and you declared senior status, which means that you get to live on campus automatically. And we all think that this is a good way of preparing for the room eligibility jack because, again, underclassmen, they're more not ready to live off campus, while the upperclassmen are more ready. And this process ensures that those who are more ready to live off campus gets to live off, and those who aren't have a greater probability of staying on. And living off campus is rewarded. I know that for Baker College and for Jones, if you have lived off campus, say in your sophomore year, and then you return on campus in your junior year, you have what they call like a priority in terms of the room draw process. So you get to pick your room before the other people who might not have lived off campus, say in your sophomore year, if you have lived off campus. So that's good. And it incentivizes those who can live off campus to live off campus. And finally, almost all of the university incorporate a new student service or service points in the room draw process. What this means is that incoming freshmen and new students, they are required to complete a certain amount of hours, volunteer hours for their college, or a certain amount of points for their college, in order to be eligible to live on campus the following year. And this is an incentive for the new students and the freshmen to integrate themselves into the college and to pitch themselves and to help out in their college and become more a bigger part of the community.
Okay, so Joseph showed us some of the best things that we found. We've also found a lot of holes and a lot of inconsistencies in the policy. And so going forward, what we'd like to suggest what we should do. We'd like to have all the colleges bump the junior class rather than the sophomore class. We feel that sophomores, they're a year younger than juniors. They're not as ready to go off campus, primarily because they're a year younger. And juniors have had an extra year over sophomores to inculcate themselves in the culture of their college, social circles, and the culture of the university as a whole. We'd also like to ask all the colleges to begin the room draw process at the same time. We'd like to create a uniform timeline for this process. Whenever we have all the colleges starting at different times, it makes everything much more confusing. And if we had everything started at the same time, then we believe that this would streamline the process a lot more effectively. Third, currently all first-year freshmen are guaranteed housing. We'd like to extend that first-year housing policy to guarantee incoming transfer students and international students. We feel that any first-year student, whether freshman or transfer, domestic or international, needs to be, or if they would like the option to be on campus their first year, that they should be given that option. A lot of transfer students, they're coming from other universities, they don't quite know people at Rice, and to not allow them to live on campus for their first year in a key formative time would kind of hurt their social interaction or how they're incorporated into the community of their college and the university as a whole. Lastly, in an effort to increase communication between the colleges and those who will live at the college, we'd ask that all the colleges post just the floor plans of the residential areas onto the college websites so that incoming freshmen or people who are, or students who are looking to live on campus the next year can see easily where possible rooms are and where they might want to live. Well, that about does it. Gabriel is not here, but we'd like to give a big thank you to him and to our project leader, Raven, for guiding us through this. We are out of the message, and thank you for listening.